knees nice and soft, and evenly distribute that weight throughout the feet and throughout the foot. We're just going to start to rock the weight forwards, over the balls of the feet, and back over the heels, just to get that core engagement, get that transverse corset muscle firing up. Just forwards and backwards. Try not to grip with the toes. We're going to maintain that core engagement as we come back to centre. So about 30% contraction on the core. Hands on the hips, and we're going to find neutral with the pelvis. So take a nice inhale breath as we exhale. Just start to squeeze the tailbone in between the legs, rocking the pelvis backwards and forwards. Just loosening off through that lower spine. Forwards and backwards, like a bucket of water. And then we're just going to slightly tuck the tailbone under, so the water in the bucket will remain nice and still. Drawing up through the pelvic floor as well, so everything feels nice and tight around the centre. Crown of the head up towards the ceiling. We're going to just start to bring the shoulders up, down, and back. Then just start to pay a little bit of attention to the breath here as well. So nice inhale through the nose. Nice exaggerated exhale breath out through the mouth, like we're blowing out birthday candles. And then finally just setting those shoulders down and back, like we're trying to slide the shoulder blades into the back pockets of the jeans. Let's take a nice deep inhale breath. We're going to take it up into full body stretch. Reach up nice and tall towards the ceiling. Frog in my throat, sorry. So keeping the tailbone tucked under, keep the ribs from popping out as well. So we're just going to inhale and just slightly extend through the spine there. And then as we exhale, we're going to draw the ribs back down towards the hips. Let's go again. So nice inhale breath here, but don't overextend. And exhale it back to the centre. Lovely. Then just grabbing hold of the wrists, we're just going to gently pull the arm over, taking it into a nice side bend stretch, really lengthen through the side of the body there. Try not to jut the hips out. And then bring it back up to centre again, lengthening back through the spine. Same on the other side. Nice gentle pull. And then back up to centre. We're going to take it into a little bit of rotation now, so just bringing the arms down, out at about 45 degrees. Try to keep the hips facing the front as we just slightly, gently rotate through the spine. Just let gravity take the arms. Get a few nice cracks out the back. And then just start to slow that down. As we slow it down, just allow the arms to come back to centre. And then we're going to take it into our roll down now. So arms down by the side, shoulders down and back, tailbone stays tucked under. Take a nice deep inhale breath as we exhale. Just start to bring the chin towards the chest and allow the shoulders to come forwards. Really focus on working that lovely C curve of the spine. So we're getting a really nice stretch down the spine. Keep the tummy button drawn up towards the spine as well. And then at the bottom, just relax through those arms, relax through the neck, make everything feel nice and heavy, just pulling you down into that nice posterior stretch. Try to transfer the weight a little bit towards the front of the feet here, onto the balls of the feet. Couple of nice big focused breaths here. And then on the next exhale breath, we're going to restack the spine. So start to draw the tummy button away from the thighs, pulling back up, stacking one vertebrae at a time, coming up nice and slowly, and reaching the top. Nice little shoulder roll, reset those shoulders, down and back. Let's go down one more time. So deep inhale breath as we exhale, chin comes towards the chest. Really lengthen through the spine as we roll down. Just allow the head to feel heavy. Switching off those neck muscles, so no creases in the back of the neck. Just coming down as far as the hamstrings will allow us, and we're just going to flop here. Then just gently bring the hands to the back of the head. So we're just going to allow the weight of the arms here just to pull us down a little bit deeper into that stretch. A couple of focus breaths. See if you can go a little bit further on that exhale breath. And then just relax the arms down in preparation to come back up. Nice deep inhale breath as we exhale. Scoop the tummy button up. Roll that spine back out. Just let the arms dangle. Coming up nice and slowly. And then when we reach the top again, going back to our neutral position. So shoulders down and back, tailbones tucked under. And then we're going to focus a little bit on some balance and strength. I'm just going to alter my camera so you can see all of me. So we're going to work a little bit of a hamstring stretch first. So tailbone slightly tucked under. We're going to bring the hands into a prayer position out in front. Spread the fingers a little bit here. And we're going to hip hinge. So we're going to soften those knees and just hinging down. We almost want to try and get roughly a 90-degree angle. So keeping the knees nice and soft. Pushing the weight back through the heel here, coming down. You should get a really nice stretch right into the belly of the hamstring there. Inhale, breath here. As we exhale, really push that weight through the heel as we come back up into our neutral position. Tailbone slightly tucked under. Let's go for a couple more of these. So inhaling, coming down. Just keeping those collarbones out nice and wide. Coming down to that lovely hamstring stretch here. And then pushing back up. Exhale as we push that weight through the heel. That will automatically engage the glutes. Let's go for one more. Keeping that core switched on as well. Inhaling down. Keeping that spine nice and long. And exhale, coming back up. That's it. So you should feel a nice stretch there into the hamstring. We're going to get about halfway down now. So just hinging slightly down, and then we're just going to really bend through the knees. So it's almost like we're perching on a bar stool. I just want you to start to transfer the weight across to the left foot. Drive that weight through the left heel, and then back over the right foot, driving that weight through that right heel. So imagine you've got a glass of water on your head, don't want that water to spill. Keep the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, just transferring that weight from one foot to the other. And then finally, let's transfer weight over to the right hand side, keeping that spine nice. It's almost imagine you've got a surfboard attached to your back here. We're going to transfer all the weight into that right foot, lifting up through the left heel, and then we're going to bring the left foot behind us. So really engage through the core, focus on that balance, stretch, and then bring it back to center, keeping that weight through that left heel. So it's a reach, and then bring it back. Like that. Challenge the balance a little bit here. You should start to feel the bottom, that left glute heating up. We can add in here as you stretch that right leg out and reach with the arms, working the back muscles as well, and then back into prayer as the leg comes back underneath the hip. So it's a reach and then back to prayer. That's it. Let's go for 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. And then bring that right foot back underneath the hip, transfer the weight back into the right foot as well. Give the left leg a little bit of a shake out. We're going to do exactly the same on the other side now. Let's go back into our position. So a slight hinge forwards with the hips, softening through the knees like we're perching on that bar stool. Hands come out in prayer position. Transfer the weight over to the right foot and then lifting up through that left heel and reach the leg behind, engaging through the core. Challenge that balance, push that weight down through the heel of that right foot. Let's go for 4 more. We can start to do our reach with the arms, lift, and back to center. Reach, and back. Last 2. And last one, reach. And bring it back to centre. Well done. Transfer the weight back into both feet. Give the leg a little bit of a shake out. We're going to come down to the end of our mat now, working a tabletop pose before we get down to the floor. So again, neutral spine, pelvis, tailbone tucked under, core switched on. Let's take it up into a full body stretch first. Nice deep inhale breath as we exhale. Again, hip hinging, so we're pushing that weight back over the heels, lengthening through the spine here, lengthening through the arms, coming down into our tabletop position. We're going to hold it here, feel that lovely stretch into the back of the legs for 3, 2, and 1. And then soften through those knees. Bring the hands all the way down to the floor. We're going to walk it out into our plank. So just walking down the mat, coming down to our plank position. So wrists underneath shoulders, bottom nice and low, but not hanging the hips. The bottom's in line with the body. We're just going to hold it here for 3, 2, and 1. I want you to bring the knees down nice and gently onto the floor, keeping that core engaged. So we come down into a half plank position. Keeping the toes tucked underneath, we're going to lengthen out through the right leg, pushing that weight back into that right heel, and then bring the knee back down to the floor. Shoulders stay nice and engaged, switched on, and the left leg lengthens and lower. Keeping that core nice and strong. So that's level 1. Level 2, we're going to come up with both knees. So lift into full plank and then lower it back down. I'm going to go for 7 more. 6. If this is too much, just go back to one leg at a time. 5. 4, nearly there. 3, 2, and last one. Lift. Bring the knees back down to the floor. Have a good sit back into the heels, lengthen through the arms, lengthen through the spine. That nice stretch down the side of the body. Take some nice deep breaths. Really breathe into the back and the side of the lungs there. Nice deep inhale, nice big exhale. And then we're going to come up on into kneeling position. If you're uncomfortable in this position, you can pop a little cushion underneath the bottom. It's too much just to kneel on the heels. So we're going to start to work quads a little bit here. So what I want you to do is bring the hands back into our prayer position, spreading the fingers. Inhale, breath here as we exhale. We're going to push down to the floor, lifting up the bottom into our neutral spine. So really engage through the glutes, tuck that tailbone under, and then control it back down again. Just lowering back onto the heels and lift, working those quads. Perfect. Under and lower. And lift. And lower. Let's go for 2 more of these. Tuck that tailbone under at the top, and then lower that bottom back down to the heels. Control it back down. Coming up into a standing kneel, tuck the tailbone under. We're going to bring the hands to the outside of the temples and just work with the spine a little bit here. So the knees are underneath the hips, tailbones tucked under, so nice neutral pelvis. Hands to the side of the head, to the temples. We should be able to see the elbows here. Keep those elbows out nice and wide. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. We're just going to take the gaze up towards the ceiling. We're going to hold it for 3 breaths. 2. Keep those elbows out. 1, and then come back to center again. We're going to just do that 2 more times. So an inhale breath As we exhale, take the gaze up towards the ceiling, elbows stay out nice and wide. Working across the shoulders here. 3, upper spine's working. 2, core stays switched on. And 1, bring it back to center. Last one, inhale, breath. Exhale, take that gaze up. Try not to let the ribs pop out completely. And hold it here for 3, 2, and 1. And relax the arms down to the side. So you should have felt that a little bit across the shoulders and working that extension in the upper spine. Just getting back to a little bit more quads now. So we're going to stay in kneeling position, tailbone tucked under. There's going to be no hinging from the hips on this one. Arms out in front, level with the shoulders. We're going to take an inhale breath as we just lean backwards, keeping that tailbone tucked under, lengthening through the quads, and then exhale as we come back to center. I'm not going to do too many of these, don't worry. We're just going to go 4 more. Inhale it back, and then exhale as we bring it back to center. Last 3. Tailbone stays tucked under, so it's almost like we're a plank of wood. Last 2. And the last one, don't take it too far back on this last one. We're going to inhale it back. We're going to hold. If we can, bring the arms up. Holding for 3, 2, 1, and then bring it back to center again. So you should have felt that down the front of the legs there. Have a little sit down into the heels again. Let's take it into shell stretch. So bringing the hands down to the side of the feet, palms facing up towards the ceiling, relaxing that forehead down into the floor. So enjoy that stretch for a second. I can't remember what I was going to do next. Let's go off. Right. Then we're just going to come up onto the front of our mats and just do a couple of half roll downs, warm up through the spine, warm up through the core before we get down onto the floor and do some core work. So feet hip width apart, heels down on the floor. We're going to bring the arms out in front, level with the shoulders, making sure the shoulders are down and back so they're not forwards. Shoulders down and back. Inhale, breath here as we exhale. Little pelvic tilt. We're going to roll halfway down to the point where we feel that the heels will want to raise. Take an inhale breath here, and as we exhale, rolling back up. At the top, we're going to extend through the spine, so crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Inhale breath, exhale again. Pelvic tilt. Work that C curve as we go down halfway to that point. Inhale breath. Exhale as we come back up, keeping those shoulders down and back. Collarbones stay out nice and wide. Inhale, breath again. Exhale, tilt. Feeling down. Hold it here. Inhale, breath. Exhale, coming back to center, extending at the top. So really lengthen through the spine at the top. Last one, deep breath in. Exhale, coming down. We're going to come down to that sticking point where you feel the heels want to lift. We're going to hold it here, lifting up through one arm, decreasing the weight into that lever, and go with the other arm. I'm going to do 2 more if you want to. We can do both arms. Lift and lower. Last one. Until I've had a couple of weeks off. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. We're going to place the spine 1 vertebrae at a time down onto the floor. Control it down nice and slowly. When we reach the floor, take it out into full body stretch. So really lengthen out through the arms, through the legs. Give the wrists and the ankles a good circle here as well. So now we're going to have a little play around with neutral spine and imprint spine. Pretty sure you'll know what they are, but I'll just remind you. So we're going to bring the feet up towards the bottom. So there's quite a bend in the knee here. So the hip bones and the pubic bone, when we're in neutral, are on the same level. So if you pop your hands on the hips, fingertips on the pubic bone, you should feel that the hips and the pubic bone are the same level. So there's a slight gap underneath that lower back. If we're going to imprint, we put the pubic bone a little bit higher than the hips, sinking that lower back down into the floor. So we're just going to go from neutral to imprint. As we imprint, we really engage through the core, sinking that lower back down into the floor. Keeping the knees nice and steady, don't let the knees fall out or in. So we're just playing around with a couple of pelvic tilts here. We're going to bring the arms up above the shoulders, palms facing, carrying on with our pelvic tilts, just keeping the knees nice and still. Almost imagine you've got a glass of water on each knee. We don't want to spill that water. And on this next one, we're going to take it right up into shoulder bridge. So neutral spine to imprint. So pushing that lower back down to the floor, lifting that pubic bone. Using the glutes, we're going to peel the spine up from the floor. Keeping the arms up towards the ceiling, squeezing the glutes. Tailbone stays tucked under here. Weights down on the shoulders, not the neck. Take an inhale breath. As we exhale, we start to place the spine back down along the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Not allowing those knees to wobble around. Remember our water on the knee. Inhale breath as we exhale again. Pubic bone lifts and just start to peel that spine up. Squeezing that tailbone under, so nice straight slope from the knee to the shoulder. Inhale breath, and as we exhale, start to place the spine back down to the floor. Don't let the ribs pop up either. Let's go for a couple more. Inhale breath, exhale tilt and peel. Squeeze the glutes to the top, squeeze those hips up. Inhale breath, exhale, rolling back down. Let's go, last one, deep breath in, exhale, tilt the pelvis, peel that spine, squeeze the glutes to the top. Remember our water on the knee. So the ribs should be inside the body, we shouldn't have flared ribs here. So a nice straight slope from the knee down to the shoulder. I want you to take an inhale breath, we're just going to float the arms behind the head. Not allowing the ribs to pop up, and as we exhale, bringing the arms back up towards the ceiling. Keep those hips up nice and high. So inhale as we float the arms behind. Don't worry if we don't get all the way down to the floor here with the arms. Exhale. Let's go for 3 more. You should really feel those glutes working. If you're feeling it a little bit in the hamstring, really try to drive the weight through the heel. It might be that you're just a bit tight in the hamstring. And glutes can be quite lazy. Last one. Inhale, bring the arms behind. Exhale, bring those arms back up towards the ceiling. Inhale breath as we exhale. Really think about lengthening the spine down along the floor, keeping those knees nice and still, controlling the spine back down to the mat. Well done. So we're back into neutral now. Slight little gap underneath that lower back. Hip bones and pubic bones are level. If you ever struggle or feel it in the lower back, just revert back to imprint. That's a safer option. We're going to have a go at working in a neutral spine position now. So floating the arms back up towards the ceiling, palms facing, anchor the shoulders. We're just going to exhale the first leg up into tabletop position and then float it back down without that spine lifting and then going with the other side. So exhale, leg comes up. And then lowering it back down. So we're just working one leg and then the other. Just making sure we're engaging through that transverse muscle, which is protecting the spine, lifting up through that pelvic floor as well. That's also part of the abdominals. We're then going to float one leg up to tabletop position. And then we're going to bring the other leg up into tabletop position. So core's working really hard to keep that spine in a neutral position. If you're feeling it in the lower back, revert to imprint. Push that spine down into the floor. So we're going to bring the arms behind the head again. Take an inhale breath as the arms float back. And then exhale as you bring those arms back up towards the ceiling without those ribs popping up, without that spine lifting. So inhale it back. And exhale, arms come back up. Perfect, that was good. Lovely, Gemma. So core's working really hard to keep that spine from moving. Let's go for one more. And then exhale, arms come back up towards the ceiling. Anchor those shoulders back down into the floor. We're now working with the legs. So I want you to take an inhale breath as we lengthen the leg, one leg away. And then exhale, bringing it back to tabletop position. Same on the other side, so just working one leg and the other. Harder than it looks. Let's go for one more on each side. And then bring the legs back into tabletop position. We're then going to join those two exercises together. If that is too much for you, just go back to either arms or legs. So we're going to reach the arms behind the head, lengthen out through the leg. Exhale, bring it all back to center. Just keep it going. Let's go for two more on each side. Last ones. And the last one. Lengthen. And then bring the leg back to tabletop position. Grab hold of the knees. Give those abdominals a little rest there. Have a little roll around on that lower back. Take some nice deep breaths. Then we're going to focus a little bit on top of the abdominals. So bringing the feet back down onto the floor again, about hip width apart. We're going to bring the fingers to the temples again, elbows stay out nice and wide. On the inhale breath, we're going to bring the chin towards the chest, almost giving us a bit of a double chin, prepping the neck to lift the head up. As we exhale, we're going to lift the head and shoulders up. Think about sliding the ribs down towards the hips here. So lifting the shoulder blades up from the floor. Inhale, breath at the top. Exhale as we come back down. Again, keeping those knees nice and still. So inhale, breath, chin comes towards the chest. Exhale, lifting up. Slide the rib down towards the hip. And then gently lower back down to the floor. On this next one, we're going to stay up. You can bring the hands behind the head at this point if you like, to support the head, so take the weight off the neck. We want the abdominals to do the work here. So we're just going to lift up an inch and then down an inch. Up an inch and down an inch. Elbows stay out nice and wide. Working the top of those abdominals, lifting and lowering. Keep breathing. Don't worry too much about the breath. Let's go for 4 more. Exhale up. Inhale, drop an inch. Exhale, up an inch. 3. 2. And 1. And then lower the head and shoulders down to the floor. Well done. Keeping the arms behind the head, elbows out nice and wide. Just roll the knees over to one side, keeping the hips as close to the floor as we can as well. Let's get a nice stretch into the waist. And then just bringing knees through the center, over to the other side. And then bringing knees back to center. Back to core again, I'm afraid. So like we did in the last exercise, take an inhale breath as we exhale. Chin comes towards the chest. We start to lift the head and shoulders up from the floor. We're going to work crisscross now, so working across the waist. But rather than just moving the arms, I really want you to focus on bringing the rib to the opposite hip. So we're going to exhale, coming across. Inhale it back to center. You can bring the head all the way down in the center if you like, get that little break. Exhale up to the other side. Rib towards opposite hip. Inhale, lower. If you want to make it a little bit harder for yourself, stay high in the center. So we're just coming across. Inhaling it back to the center, staying lifted. Exhale it through. Can't talk when I do this one. So you should really be able to see the elbows in your peripheral vision. So I don't want you to be pulling up on your neck. Elbows stay up nice and wide. The hands just there to support the weight of the head. We're going to go for 2 more to each side. Exhale it up. Inhale back to center. You can go all the way down if you like. Get that little break. And last ones. And last one. We're going to stay over to the side that we've landed on. Removing the hand. Placing the hands to the outside of the knee. We're going to pulse it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hand comes back to the head, coming back to center. Exhale it across the other side. Hand comes to the outside of the knee. Pulse it for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice, well done. Well, it's not nice. Hand comes back, head comes down. Lift the spine up from the floor now. Really lengthen through those abdominals. Get that nice stretch down the middle. Well, that was awful, wasn't it? Right, now we're going to do a little bit of a version of spine twist. So I want you to imprint this time. So bringing that tailbone underneath, imprinting that spine down into the floor. This is a really quite a tricky version. Normally, I let you put your arms down on the floor, but for this one, we're going to bring the arms up towards the ceiling, anchoring those shoulders down. It's not going to be a massive movement at all. So engaging through the core, we're going to lift the first leg up to tabletop position, and then second leg comes up to tabletop position. Zipping knees and feet together for this one. I want you to take an inhale breath as we lean both legs down in one direction. So it's not going to be a massive movement at all. And then exhale it back to center. Inhale it down to the other side. Exhale it back to center. Imagine we're holding 2 glasses of champagne there in the hands. So it's only a very small movement. If at the top, your knees are pointed to the number 12 on a clock, we're only looking at going to 1 o'clock, back to 12 o'clock, to 11 o'clock, back to 12 o'clock. So really controlling that movement. If you want to make this a little bit harder for yourself, when we come to the side, you can lengthen out through the legs, bending back through the knees to bring us back to center, over to the other side. Quite hard without wanting to topple over. Keep that going. Let me see how you're all doing. Don't forget, don't spill that champagne. Lovely. Nice, Anne. Can you really feel that work in the core? Let's go for 1 more to each side. Bring it back to center. Bring the arms out level with the shoulders. Let's work our normal spine to see how different it feels. We've got the stability then of the arms on the floor. So it's more of a rotational exercise, keeping those shoulder blades down on the floor. Knees stay zipped together. Exhale it through the center. 1 more to each side. And the last one. Bring those legs back to center. Bring the feet down to the floor. Again, take it out into full body stretch. Really lift the spine up from the mat. Take some really nice deep breaths there. Really breathing into the bottom of the rib cage, bottom of the lungs. And then using those very tired abdominals, we're going to bring the arms up towards the ceiling, anchor the shoulders. We're just going to roll it up into seated now. So if you want to pop a little bend in the knee here, you can do. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. Chin comes towards the chest. We're starting to peel that spine up from the floor, one vertebrae at a time. At the top, we're going to sit it nice and tall, reaching up towards the ceiling, extending through the spine and forward folding, but leading with the chest. Try not to C-curve the spine too much for this one. Feel that stretch into the back of the legs. Hold it for 3, 2, and 1, and release. Well done. This is a nice first one back, isn't it? Right, we're going to come down into side lying now, work a bit of glutes and obliques. So, coming down onto our side, hips are going to stay stacked, one on top of the other as always. Core's going to stay engaged, so we're going to lift the spine up and lift the waist up from the floor. Ideally, your head wants to be on your arm. I can put my hands so I can see everybody really. It's not the end of the world if you rest the head into the hands there. So imagine we've got something underneath this waist, like a piece of Lego. We don't want to be flopping down into it. So almost pushing that top hip away, creating that gap between the waist and the floor. We're going to start with a deadlift. So we've got a 90-degree angle here, 90-degree angle here in the knee. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. We're going to lift the knee and the foot on the same level to just above hip level, and then inhale, lower back together. So controlling the movement. Exhale, raise. Not a high raise at all. Inhale, lower. Keeping that waist from falling into the floor. Let's go for 2 more of these. And then we're going to keep that knee and foot above hip level. We're going to work some medial rotation now. So the foot is going to stay where it is, and we're just going to bring the knees together. And then back up into that nice straight line. So it feels a bit of an odd movement. Lifting and lowering that knee. So what we're looking to do here is strengthen all the muscles that surround the hip. We're going to go for 4 more. So a knee tap. 3, checking with that waist. 2. And 1. Knee comes back level with the foot. We're now going to keep the knee where it is. I'm really shaky. And we're going to tap the toes together. So externally rotating. You should really start to feel this in the glutes now. If you pop your hand on the outside of the bottom, you can feel it engaging. Perfect. Keep it going. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Foot comes back level with the knee. We're going to hold it here for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Real tremble in the leg. And then bring the knees together. Should have felt that in the glute there. Give the bottom a really good rub. We're going to move on to obliques next. So, I'm going to give you some options here. We're working side plank with a bit of a side bend. If you've got dodgy wrists, weak wrists or painful wrists, go from the elbow, but making sure the shoulder stays away from the ear. If you want to go from the wrist, that's absolutely fine. I think I'm going to attempt wrist first. So legs are nicely bent to the side. I'm going to take it up into side plank first. So lifting the hips up from the floor, reaching the arm up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale breath. As we exhale, we're going to bring the arm over, lifting those hips up a little bit further, and then inhale, move back to center. So we're either from wrist or elbow. So reach. So what we're trying to do here is really shorten that distance between rib and hip and then back out. If you want to make it a little bit harder, we can go full side plank. So lifting hips up into that side bend, back into plank. So I'll leave that one with you as to which one you do. So almost think about creating rolls here on this inside this way. So lifting up into that lovely bend and lowering. Let's go for 3 more. Two. And last one. Taking those hips up nice and high. Really shorten that inside distance of rib and hip. Back to plank. And then lower yourself back down to the floor. It's a good shoulder workout as well, so give the arm and the shoulder a really good shake out after that one. And give the wrist a good circle. Next exercise, before we do the other side of glutes, we're going to work a bit of a modified saw. So for this one, sit really tall on the sit bones, and we're going to keep the knees bent. So the legs are bent. Legs are out nice and wide. Again, we're going to bring the hands to the outside of the temples, crown the head towards the ceiling. Inhale, breath in the center. As we exhale, we're going to spine twist. So rotate through to the side, keeping spine nice and tall. Can't ever talk with this one. Inhale it back to center. Exhale it through. So really working those back muscles to keep that spine tall. Exhale through. Inhale it back. Exhale it through. Inhale it back. Last one. And then we're going to turn it into saw, or modified saw at least. So we're going to exhale on the twist, stay twisted, and then we're going to bring the elbow to the inside of the knee or tap the knee, and then just see if we can rotate a little bit further. Coming back, restack the spine, inhale it back to center. So it's an exhale as we rotate. Elbow comes down towards the knee. Use the knee there if you like, just to try and rotate a little bit further. And then restack the spine and bring it back to center. So exhale, twist. Coming down, elbow to knee. Rotate further. Restack, and then back to center. Let's go for 1 more on each side. And last one. Back to center, and relax the arms down to the side. Give the arms a good shake out there, and then we're going to do the other glute. So feet in the opposite direction. Again, head relaxed onto the arm, ideally. Not the end of the world, put it in your hand. So hips are stacked one on top of the other. Engage through the core, lift that waist up from the floor. Almost push that top hip away, so the spine's in one nice straight line. We're going to start with a deadlift. So inhale to prepare as we exhale. Lifting that knee and foot to above hip level, and then inhale as we control it back together. So exhale, lift, keeping that gap between the waist and the floor. Perfect, that looks really good. So it's not a massive lift at all. We're looking to just get above hip level. On this next one, we're going to stay. So knee and foot above hip level. Foot stays where it is. And we're going to internally rotate and then bring it back out. So if you think of the hip joint, ball and socket joint, we're really rotating inwards, which is a bit of a foreign movement to the body. To that joint anyway. Keeping the waist lifted. Just have a little check in with the waist. Let's go for 4 more. And you can put the hand on the bottom there. Feel that muscle engage. 3, 2, and 1. Knee comes back, level with the foot. Knee now stays where it is, and we're going to tap the toes together. So now we're externally rotating within that joint. And you can really start to be feeling that in the bottom about now. Looks perfect. Let's go for 4 more. 3, nearly there. 2, and 1. Nice. Bring that foot back up, level with the knee. You might feel it a little bit in the outside of the shin here. We're going to hold it for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring those knees back together. Give that bottom a really good rub there, or punch, whatever you need to do. So then we're going to take it into obliques on this side now. So even though you went from the wrist on that side, it doesn't matter if you want to go from the elbow here. So onto the side of the hip, knees are bent behind to the side. We're going to take it up into side plank first. So making sure that shoulder's nice and strong, away from the ear. We're going to lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Coming from the elbow, you don't get quite as much range. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. Hips come up nice and high. Really try to create some rolls here on that inside of the waist. And then back to side plank. Keeping that shoulder nice and strong. So lifting. Back to side plank. Of course, there is the option of full side plank. So taking it right up into that side bend from the feet. And then back to plank. Let's go for 3 more. A little bit prefer 2. Last one. Hips nice and high. Push the floor away with the elbow or the wrist. Back to side plank. And then control it back to the floor. Don't collapse down. Well done. That was a tricky one. Right, coming down onto the spine. Last exercise before we finish off. We're going to work hip flexors and core with the scissors. So again, find your either neutral or imprint. Hard to maintain neutral, so always go back to imprint if you don't feel confident. Ribs towards the hips there. We're going to pop the legs up one at a time into tabletop position. Without that spine lifting, level 1 scissors, we're going to toe tap. So you want to keep that distance between the ribs and the hips nice and short there. Tapping the toe down. Try not to bend through the knee joint there. It's almost reaching the foot away towards the end of the mat. Level 1, level 2. Legs out straight, scissoring, straight legs. Have a little play around with where the legs cross. Working that core a little bit harder, the lower they are to the floor when they cross. Level 3, head and shoulders come up, and we add that gentle pull of the leg at the top. Keep breathing, nice deep breaths. Let's go 3 more on each side. 1. 2. Last ones. And 3. Nice, well done. Bring the head and shoulders down if you're not already. Hug the knees in. Give those abdominals a little break. Have a roll around on the lower back. And then bringing the feet down one at a time. We're going to float the arms over the head, behind the head. Nice soft elbows here. Just relax the arms down on the floor. We're going to step the feet out to either side of the mat. We're going to try and keep the hips as close to the floor as we can as we just roll the knees over in one direction Bringing the knees as close to the floor as we can, getting a nice stretch into the hip there. You can roll the head in the opposite direction if you like, just to make it a bit more of a stretch. Again, really breathing into the bottom of the lungs. Deep breaths. And then rolling the knees back through the center, rolling the head into the center, and then down to the other side. Keeping those hips as close to the floor as we can, bringing those knees as close to the floor as we can. And then bringing knees back to center. Now let's stretch those glutes out now. So bringing the feet back onto the mat, imprinting the spine. We're going to pop the foot across the knee and then push that knee out to the side. That might be enough of a stretch for you. If not, bring that leg up into tabletop position until we feel that stretch into the glutes. And then what I want you to do here is lift the spine up from the floor. So pushing up into the back, you feel a bit of a deeper stretch there into the bottom. Hold it for 3, 2, and 1. Just gently bring that foot back down to the floor. And then we do exactly the same on the other side. So just popping the foot across the knee, hold it there if that's enough, push that knee out, making sure we have imprint now or neutral before we bring the leg up into tabletop. When the leg's up in tabletop, that's when we can lift the spine up from the floor. So really pushing up in, pushing that spine away from the floor as you feel it into that glute. You can hold the foot as well if it's a bit out on the hip flexors there. And then just gently bring the foot back down onto the floor. We're going to take it out into a full body stretch in preparation to roll up. So again, lift that spine up from the mat. Really lengthen those abdominals there. Have a little circle of wrists and ankles again here. And then we're going to float the arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing. Anchor those shoulders down into the floor. If you want to pop a little bend into the knee here, you can do. If not, take an inhale breath as we exhale. Chin comes towards the chest. We're going to peel the spine up from the floor. Nice, lovely. Sit it nice and tall at the top. Let's spine stretch on this one. So bringing the arms parallel with the legs. And then we're going to reach forwards with the arms, backwards with the waist, creating that really nice C curve into the spine. And just hold. 3, 2, and 1. And release. Well done. Then we're just going to widen out through the legs. And bringing the hands out in front, so we're sat nice and tall on the sit bones. Hands out in front, we're just going to walk the hands as far away from the body as we can, almost leading with the chest again for this one, so try not to slouch over, feeling that stretch. So inside of the legs. And then just slowly walk the hands back to center. Restart the spine. We're going to leave the left hand out in front, spread the fingers here, taking it the right hand up and over the head into a nice side bend stretch. So you should feel a really nice stretch on the side of the body. Then I want you to walk this hand as far away from the body as you can, just bringing that shoulder through. Take the gaze up towards the ceiling there. up to centre. We'll do exactly the same on the other side. So right hand comes out in front, spread the fingers there. Left arm comes up and over. Get that nice stretch into the side of the waist first before we start to walk that hand away. Just bring that shoulder through, take the gaze up towards the ceiling. And then back to centre. Well done. Coming down onto our fronts. We're going to just take it into our nice cobra stretch. So feet out again, nice and wide, relaxing the glutes for this one. Hands underneath the shoulders, spread the fingers again, make sure those shoulders stay away from the ears. Inhale, breath. As we exhale, push down into the hands, push that floor away, keep the hips down on the floor, relax the bottom, feel that stretch down the front of the body. And then just lowering it down about halfway, engaging through the core. We're going to lift up onto the knees, just be careful of that lower back, and then sit back into our child's pose again, lowering that upper body down into the floor. Nice deep breaths. And then we're going to fold up onto all fours. So shoulders over wrists, knees underneath hips. Let's take it into cat stretch. So spread the fingers again, index fingers pointing forwards. Inhale, breath as we exhale. Elbows stay nice and soft. Really tuck that tailbone under here as well. Chin comes towards the chest. Really try to feel the stretch into the lower back as well. Scoot that tummy button up towards the spine. And then we're going to take it back to neutral spine. We're going to go beyond neutral, so just start to lower the spine down, gently squeeze the shoulder blades together, stick out the bottom, take the gaze about 1 metre in front of the hands, so towards the end of your mat, just keep the neck in line with the spine. Take an inhale breath as we exhale. Chin comes towards the chest, tailbone tucked right underneath, and really push up into the back there. And then going back down again last time, neutral, beyond, gentle squeeze of the shoulder blades, stick out the bottom, elbows nice and soft. And then taking it back into neutral spine. We're going to turn the toes underneath. Take an inhale breath as we exhale, engaging through that transverse muscle again, coming up into a little knee hover here, and then just rolling the weight back into the heels. Keep the knees nice and soft, so it's a bit of a modified down dog there. Head through the arms, get that stretch into the calf. Nice deep breaths. And then just start to slowly walk the hands back towards the feet. Transfer the weight back to the feet again. Relax through the head, neck, shoulders, arms. Let everything feel really heavy. Hopefully you're a bit closer to the floor than you were at the beginning. Take an inhale breath. As we exhale, start to peel the tummy away from the thighs. Scooping tummy button up towards the spine. Just let the arms dangle, let the head dangle. Stack the spine 1 vertebrae at a time, coming up nice and slowly. And when you do reach the top, some really big shoulder rolls. And then just pop those shoulders back down. You can't see me.